Snow drifts quietly over the frozen capital of Russia, blanketing its palaces, its factories, its crumbling empire. The war rages on the front, famine spreads in the cities, and whispers of revolution grow louder with every passing day. And inside one of the city's grandest palaces, a group of nobles gather around a table. Their mission, not to discuss policy, nor war, nor salvation for the empire, but to plot a murder. The target is a man who should never have been there at all, a wandering peasant from Siberia, a self-proclaimed holy man, a healer, a drunkard, a prophet, a sinner. His name was Grigory Rasputin, and to his enemies, he was the cancer eating away at the Romanov dynasty. That night, they poisoned him, shot him, beat him, and drowned him. And yet, somehow he refused to die, and that was how the legend, the man who refused to die, came about. But before we dive into this story, thank you for being here. If you love dark history and the mysteries of the past, make sure you subscribe, give this video a like, and don't forget to drop a comment below. Thank you. Now, by the end of 1916, Russia was unraveling. On the battlefields of the First World War, millions of soldiers had been slaughtered. In the cities, trains stalled, bread vanished, and desperate mothers stood in endless lines hoping to feed their children. Strikes, riots, and protests broke out almost daily. The people had lost faith in their government. Many had even lost faith in their Tsar. But in the royal household, one figure still held extraordinary power, not a general, not a minister, but a bearded mystic from the depths of Siberia, Rasputin. To understand his final days, we need to know how Rasputin rose. Born in a remote Siberian village in 1869, Rasputin grew up poor, uneducated, and wild. As a boy, he was restless, prone to visions, and rumored to have healing abilities. He married, fathered children, and worked as a farmer. But something in him refused the ordinary life. In his early 30s, Rasputin set off on pilgrimages, wandering Russia as a holy man. His piercing eyes and hypnotic presence unsettled people. Some swore he could read minds, others that he could heal with a touch. And as his reputation spread, so too did his followers and his critics. By the time Rasputin arrived in St. Petersburg around 1905, he had already begun weaving the legend that would make him infamous. The connection that changed history came through the Romanov family. Tsar Nicholas II and Tsarina Alexandra had 4 daughters, but their youngest child, the long-awaited heir Alexei, was gravely ill. Born with hemophilia, his blood would not clot. A simple bruise could mean death. For Alexandra, it was agony. No doctor, no medicine could ease her son's suffering. She prayed for a miracle, and then came Rasputin. When Alexei suffered a life-threatening hemorrhage, Rasputin was summoned. Accounts differ on what happened next. Some say he prayed at the boy's bedside. Others claim he simply spoke soothing words over the telephone from hundreds of miles away. But what mattered was this: the bleeding stopped. To Alexandra, it was nothing short of divine intervention. Rasputin had done what science could not. From that moment on, the Tsarina was devoted. Rasputin became her holy man, her healer, her counselor. Rasputin's influence grew. He was welcomed into the royal palaces, consulted on matters far beyond medicine, government appointments, military strategy, even diplomacy. To the nobility and the politicians, this was scandalous. How could a peasant, a filthy, uneducated man, hold sway over the empire's rulers? And Rasputin made it worse for himself. He drank heavily. He was seen in brothels. Women whispered of his advances. Some even claimed he preached salvation through physical intimacy. He was accused of debauchery, corruption, and manipulation. The press had a field day. Newspapers branded him the Mad Monk. Satirical cartoons showed him pulling the strings of the empire, whispering into the Tsarina's ear. Some even accused Alexandra of having an affair with him, a charge that fueled public hatred. Imagine being a starving Russian in 1916, losing your husband to the war, your child to hunger, and reading that a drunken mystic was ruling the empire through your empress. Would you not demand his blood? Think about it anyways. By late 1916, Rasputin had powerful enemies. Among them was Prince Felix Yusupov, heir to one of Russia's greatest fortunes. Young, flamboyant, and married to the Tsar's niece, Yusupov craved excitement, and Rasputin's fall would give it to him. Then there was Grand Duke Dmitry Pavlovich, the Tsar's own cousin, a man of noble standing disillusioned by Rasputin's power. And finally, Vladimir Purishkevich, a right-wing politician, fiery and outspoken, who saw Rasputin as the ruin of Russia. Together, they plotted a murder that they believed would save the empire. The plan was simple. Yusupov would invite Rasputin to his palace under the pretense of meeting his wife. For the lustful mystic, such a proposition was irresistible. On the night of December 16, 1916, Rasputin arrived. The snow was thick, the city silent, but inside the Yusupov palace, candles glowed. He was led to a small, cozy salon in the basement where cakes and wine awaited him. What Rasputin did not know was that both were laced with cyanide enough to kill several men. The conspirators waited upstairs listening. Rasputin ate the cakes. He drank the wine. Time passed. Minutes became an hour. Still, he lived. Yusupov grew restless. He had been promised a quick death, but instead Rasputin seemed unaffected. Was it a miracle? Was the poison weak? Or was the mystic's body simply unbreakable? Imagine being in that candlelit room, watching a man calmly sip poisoned wine, his eyes flashing strangely in the dim light. What would you have wondered? In no time, panic set in. Yusupov drew his revolver. He raised it, aimed at Rasputin's chest, and fired. The bullet struck. Rasputin collapsed, gasping, blood staining the floor. The conspirators, relieved, congratulated themselves. At last, it was done. But was it truly done? Yusupov returned to the basement to ensure Rasputin was dead. He leaned close, peering at the lifeless body. And just then Rasputin's eyes opened. He surged upward, clutching at Yusupov's throat, his massive hand squeezing the prince's neck. Yusupov screamed, tearing free as Rasputin staggered to his feet. The mystic, bleeding heavily, lurched toward the door, into the snowy courtyard. Purishkevich fired again and again. Rasputin stumbled, fell, rose, and staggered on. The snow turned red beneath him. At last, he collapsed. But still, he breathed. Not to forget these shots were said to have been fired in close range. One bullet was enough to end a man. Terrified by the occasion, the conspirators bound his body, wrapped him in chains, and dragged him to the river. They broke through the ice and hurled him into the freezing Neva. Only then, beneath the black water, did Rasputin finally fall silent. Days later, his body was recovered. The autopsy sparked even greater mystery. Some reports said he had drowned. Others insisted he had died from gunshot wounds. His hands were raised upward, as though he had tried to claw his way out from under the ice. Rumors spread that a British intelligence officer had fired the final fatal shot, fearing Rasputin was pushing for peace. with Germany. The conspirators believed they had saved Russia, but they were wrong. Within 3 months, Tsar Nicholas abdicated. Within a year, the Romanov dynasty was destroyed, the royal family executed by revolutionaries. Far from preventing collapse, Rasputin's murder only marked the final unraveling. And yet, Rasputin endures. His name is synonymous with mysticism, debauchery, and resilience. A man poisoned, shot, beaten, drowned, and remembered as the man who would not die. So, who was Rasputin? A holy man with divine powers, or a cunning fraud destroyed by his own myth? What do you think? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this journey into the shadows of history, give this video a like and subscribe for more tales of power, scandal, and mystery. Because in history, sometimes the truth is stranger than any legend.